Welcome to today's function that commemorates World Food Day. We are not alone in the world in this endeavor. Over nearly 200 countries are doing likewise because food is something to be celebrated. And we honor and salute those who make it possible to have our 3 square meals a day. Give a hand to the farmers of this country.
And of course, we're celebrating World Food Day 2017. And again, especially for the younger ones in our audience, if you do not already know, it is to be celebrated on Heroes Day. And because it is such an important event, many persons may say, all right, somewhere in the world is already celebrating something. So let us be Jamaicans. We know we are enough. So we are actually the first in the world to be celebrating World Food Day at a very global level. And I welcome you to the only institution of this kind, Knockalva Agricultural School, where we train youths in agriculture to develop them to secure food. And of course, it is a science. So in our everyday living, we are applying that science. And of course, let us embrace the theme, change the future of migration, invest in food security and rural development.
It's a real pleasure for me to be here today, and I'm particularly happy to be participating with the FAO representative who represents that great world organization. And as I look out here, I say to myself, how many of you youngsters who are receiving this tremendous training and exposure, how many of you are going to remain in your community? You hear talk of urban-rural drift, but what is it that causes this drift? As you say, some say migrate. I like to use the word emigrate. What is it that causes young people, having been trained, to move on to the cities? And some even go further and leave the country. I think at the root of the problem is the need for infrastructural development in rural Jamaica. And by infrastructural development, I mean both hard infrastructure and soft infrastructure. Hard infrastructure. What is that? Roads, the supply of water, the supply of electricity. Those are hard requirements without which you cannot grow, you cannot develop. So we also talk about soft infrastructure. And I'm sure that this will strike a chord among the youngsters here. You cannot develop a community at this time in our history unless you expose every child to the internet, to access to internet services. We wish to extend to you support in the dairy industry. So today, before I leave here, I don't know if the permanent secretary carried the check with him, but if him carried, he'll have it there. But the only trouble is that he has a check there for you for $6 million. Because I am saying to you today that the contribution by the Dairy Industry Board is not enough. And they're going to have to present to Knockalva $10 million. That's it. So this is not the end of the contribution, because the program includes another 10 million on top of the one here. 20 million is the total contribution. That is how seriously we take the dairy industry and its revival. Finally, it has been a great pleasure for me to be here with you today. I feel very elated at the effort that is put out. I love what I see in terms of those exhibitions that I have seen so far. I know that when I speak to these students from not only Knockalva but others who are visiting, that you will leave here today with a renewed commitment to making farming an important part of your life journey.
Make we stop out for their loss in every rural community. So we're asking all stakeholders, to take part in rural development. Agriculture is the only way forward. Agriculture is the only way forward. Agriculture is the only way forward. To ensure food security for the nation. To ensure food security for the nation. To ensure food security for the nation.